So I'm approaching my pre-emergent window pretty fast. It's important for me to get the timing just right, but in this video I'm going to go over not just the timing, but the do's and don'ts of applying a pre-emergent. Let's get right into it. Keep it simple and just mow. First things first is the timing. I typically go ahead and put out my fall pre-emergent. My first application is when soil temperatures drop to 70 degrees. And then I apply a second application when soil temperatures drop to 55 degrees. If you want to monitor your soil temps, just go ahead and go online, go to Greencast and type in your zip code. This is a quick way to get a gauge of your current soil temperatures. If you don't want to go by soil temps, you can also go by timing. In my area, the timing for my pre-emergent is usually between September 15th and up to October 15th. Anytime during then is when I can put out my pre-emergent. But it's not just timing that you have to worry about, it's also how and when you apply your pre-emergent. A few things to keep in mind when applying a pre-emergent. What you want to do is mow your lawn first, then apply a pre-emergent. You don't want to apply a pre-emergent and then go ahead and mow your lawn. This is especially true if you're using the granular product. You want to avoid mowing, and more specific, you want to avoid mowing and bagging. You want to do all that first before you apply a pre-emergent. The next thing about a pre-emergent is that every single pre-emergent on the market will tell you that you have to water it in for it to get down to the soil. The way a pre-emergent works, it creates a chemical barrier in the soil, and that's going to reduce the chances of new weeds sprouting up. It's not going to get rid of your existing weed. It's just going to prevent new weeds from coming up. The important thing about pre-emergent is that it doesn't stop all weeds. As I mentioned before, it's important to water the pre-emergent in, but if you're on slopes or hills, you want to do multiple light waterings. You want to avoid watering deeply, mainly because you're going to be concerned with any type of runoff, which typically tends to happen with slopes. And when that happens, some of that pre-emergent can wash away. Another thing about pre-emergents, depending on what brand you're using, a lot of them will last for about 3 months. If you look at the bag of Lesco 007 or Sunnyland 007, they'll tell you they provide 3 months of coverage. But truthfully, I like to push that back to 2 months of coverage, because depending on whether you have a lot of rain or whether you're on slopes or hills, that coverage is going to be a little bit less. So pre-emergents typically will last you 3 months. Of course, there's certain pre-emergents like prodiamine 65 WDG, which can last you 6 months if you apply it at the 6-month rate. Just remember, most pre-emergents have a short window on when they'll provide coverage for you. So let's say you decide to use Lesco 007. The bag will tell you that it provides 3 months of coverage. If you know that information, that means that you want to reapply every 3 months. So if you apply your first pre-emergent in September, you're going to want to apply again in December just to extend that coverage. But the whole point of this is to look at your bag, read the label. The label will tell you exactly what you should and should not do. I just wanted to state the obvious here. If you plan to do any type of winter overseed, or if you have tall fescue and you plan to seed the lawn, you don't want to apply a pre-emergent, because a pre-emergent not just stops new weeds from coming in, but also inhibits new growth from those grass seeds that you put down. So avoid putting down the pre-emergent if you plan to do any type of seeding or overseeding. So one final tip for you from experience. My land is slopey. I have different slopes, different grades of slopes. I find when I apply a pre-emergent, I like to do multiple light waterings to push the pre-emergent down. I avoid just watering one time, because a lot of times that pre-emergent is either going to get washed away or it's not going to get pushed down deep enough. So I like to do multiple light waterings in order to push that pre-emergent down to the soil. And I'm just guessing that a lot of homeowners are not on flat land. They actually have slopes and hills. If this is your case, you want to do light waterings in order to increase the effectiveness of the pre-emergent you're putting down.